Queers without money. They are everywhere, but we refuse to see them. The gay representation is lacking, especially poor gay representation. 4 to 10% of the population identifies as queer, and 37 million Americans are poor. Overall, there's no poor gay representation, and many queer youth are homeless. However, surveys report a stereotype that most hold that queers are dinks or dual income and have no kids, which make them more affluent. Many poor gay individuals in America lack social services to give them resources to have an everyday normal life. And many are double or triple oppressed, including their race, their class, and their sexuality. In this country, we punish people for being poor and punish homosexuality. When both are combined, it does more than double the effects. Opposition to gay people is often based on the perception that queers are better off than everybody else, that we're really asking for special rights, and that brings resentment. Gays, lesbians, and bisexuals do not earn more than heterosexuals or live in a more affluent household. Gay men earned 13 to 32% less than similarly qualified heterosexual men. The lesbians and bisexual women have incomes comparable to straight women, earning 21% less than men. Lesbian couples earn significantly less than heterosexual women. And some people in the queer community believe the myth to protect themselves from hard truths of the economic diversity by perpetuating the illusion of material wealth within the confines of male-female whiteness. Who is unwelcomed and not represented often includes poor lesbians, poor gay men, queer people of color, transgender folks, people living with HIV and AIDS, queer young, and queer elderly. These are queers that are quickly departed, unseen, and unwelcome. Food insecurity is an issue that many in the queer and poor communities face, and the reading mentions a few organizations that address this need. One is the Metropolitan Community Church. It is a gay denomination, and they try to meet the needs for the demands for food. The Gay Community Service Center provides resources and space for homeless people or people without permanent housing and folks living with addictions. The Hendrick Martin Institute supports gay and questioning youth, and they also wanted to point out that 50% of homeless kids in New York City are queer. Another issue that people in the queer community face is shelter, where to find housing that's safe. And when we often hear about queer activism, it's coming from a whiteness norm where race and economic issues are not talked about. There are also many issues within finding shelter for folks without permanent homes who are part of the queer community. One is the definition of family as heteronormative, and families then can be split if they don't meet that definition. Rehab programs treating queerness instead of addictions is another problem. Queerness is pathologized sometimes in these rehabilitation centers. And also, because of their sexual orientation or identity, many people cannot apply for shelter and family public housing, again because of that heteronormative norm. And also, it can be very dangerous for trans folks seeking shelter. So again, safety also needs to be at the forefront when considering where to find housing and shelter. So what can explain the cause or origins of these problems? It could be dangerous imaginations. When we look at queers and representation queers in our culture, the author argues that they represent the culture's assumption with the erotic, where queerness represents a sexuality that is more dangerous, explosive, explicit, and predatory. We also see dangerous imaginations about people who are considered poor because we like to place blame on them. They become the object of their own circumstances. They're the object of blame. And also, we have an adherence to images of influence in our capitalistic society. And when we see queer folks in media representations in particular, we say, oh, wow, there's a good queer person. They made it. They're affluent. And sometimes those ideas can be internalized, where some queer folks may say, at least we got one thing right. In addition, when it comes to queerness and when classes intersected, sometimes citizenship is at stake. Am I truly an American? Do I really belong here?